it's Thursday. Hold on a second, I'm not witchy enough. Well, I don't know if that's witchier, but I really tried. So, recently I was contacted by Leigh, who runs the Skein Spider channel here on YouTube, and she invited me to play a little game with her. Basically, she would design the first piece of the pattern and send it to me. I would then make that piece, design the second piece of the pattern, and send it back to her. And we would trade pieces backwards and forwards until we had enough to assemble, something. Kind of a pass-the-parcel of patterns, or a Franken-Pattern, if you will. So, the rules are simple. 1. Crochet your pieces one at a time. No designing all of your pieces in one hit. 2. No labeling the pieces we send to each other. Is it a head, a body, a leg, big toe? Who knows? 3. No specifying colors. And 4. No sharing photos with each other until the end of the project. Now, Leigh has gracefully volunteered to go first, but I believe I have the first pattern piece in my inbox waiting for me right now. So I am just going to pull that up. So I quickly stitched up the piece that she'd sent me. Leigh had used a freeform approach to the shape of the piece and also used a mix of single crochet and half double crochet. As for picking colours, everything that I'd made so far this year has been purple, orange, white and black for Halloween, so I decided to go with green. It could be a wing or a fin or like an ear of some kind. I still need to reattach and work the final... Okay, there's still like 6 rows to go, that's my bad, but I feel like I'm gonna have to match this chaotic energy with my piece. What is it? Okay, so that is our piece, and I am definitely feeling the urge to join it along some of these lines, but I won't. Okay, so with that being the ever confounding piece, which could still be a flipper or a fin, or I've just made it wrong. I'll tell you what, if there's no edit here, I have made it correctly. If there is an edit here, well, you're listening to that right now. And I decided to make my second one. And I have some theories. So either they're wings of some kind. We're meant to join these two pieces together and form like a Pikachu-esque tail. Or maybe this is, pretend this is a head. Maybe these bits are meant to curl around in some sort of helmety type shape, which could be an interesting concept. Oh, flip that one over. There we go. Like that. I feel like that has some promise to it. So I guess the question is, do I design a random piece or do I try and design something that builds off this? And I think in the spirit of the exercise, I'm going to design something that builds off these pieces. Now I guess I have to decide what I'm going to be making to send back. But I think I'm going to go for something that can act as a body nugget, something to attach the different pieces to. But I suppose the other line of thinking is to make all of the pieces and then have the last piece be some kind of functional body nugget, because at that point we'll know what we're working with a little bit more. So it's kind of like 2 schools of thought there. So let's change camera views and I'll sketch a couple of things and design up my piece. So I started by sketching some possible arm and body shapes. So I think I'm going to make a body shape. But I'm going to make the body shape in such a way that if these were meant to be ears or wings or a tail or any of those pieces, it'll work for it. So it's just about making something that's kind of general enough to provide some flexibility, while also being specific enough to give us something to build off of from here on out. I don't want to be quite this generic, just like a literal nub. So I'm tempted to go in on almost reptilian kind of direction. I don't know, I also don't want to be the person to restrict us down too much. After a few more sketches, I picked one I was happy with and started stitching. So without knowing what those pieces were, I focused instead on making a piece that worked well with the shapes in them. In order to make it a cohesive pattern, I knew I wanted to use similar details in my pieces so it all went together at the end. I also made it reversible so that I would have some flexibility later in the project. I didn't want it to have a clear up and a clear down. Speaking to you from the future, I am really glad I did that. Which ended up being pretty helpful. I continued on, stuffing and closing off the end of the piece. So this is the piece that I've come up with, and I feel like it's got some good flexibility because while I intend for it to be up this way with this being the head at the moment anyway, I feel like it could also easily be flipped and have this form the head and this form like a little tail, like a kind of... Sorry. You're okay, honey. I feel like it could easily be flipped and have this be the head and this form the tail instead. So I do feel like that gives us some interesting options to work with, particularly with these pieces here. I feel like they could be fastened on in a number of different ways, but the way I'm currently planning on using them is running them alongside the head, kind of like the spines of a dragon, similar to how I've done mine in the past. So one on either side of the head, these spikes sticking up, and these bits sort of augmenting the nose. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how this is going to evolve from here, but for now I am going to get the pattern for this piece sent off to Leigh and I'll see what I get back. So yeah, I've sent that piece off to Leigh and I hope to hear back from her soon. Okay, so the pattern for piece 3 has arrived and we're just going to work that up now. So I've got my piece 1 and 2 off to one side there. So I began working up the piece and all was going well until PC is Puff, I think. PC Puff. I don't know what PC means. I feel like, oh, popcorn stitch. Okay, yep, it is meant to be popcorn. Do I remember how to popcorn? I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to look up how to popcorn. Hold on. 5 double crochets into the same stitch or space. See, I knew that. I knew that, guys. Are these feet? Are these tiny feet? And, oh, wait. Oh, then we've got 2 more and another one. So there's gonna be 6 in total. That is, oh, it's gonna have like little bug legs. Oh, that's cute. Oh, I mean, I'm assuming they're legs. I don't, yeah, okay. Leigh is the master of like these tiny little patterns that use like popcorn stitches for, like hands and feet. Like you can check out her minis series. I've seen it on TikTok. I assume it's here on YouTube as well. I should know that. But yeah, she does like these little mini axolotls and things that have, and oh, her kiwi, her recent kiwi has these as like feet. So I'm like, they have to be feet, right? And I don't know why the idea of 6 tiny feet makes me so excited, but here we are. Piece 3 was a lot easier to identify as the popcorn stitches clearly formed tiny feet. I also have to acknowledge the fact that effort was clearly put in to match this shape to the shapes I used in piece 2, as the same shaping went into forming the flat part of piece 3. I just love that synergy of both of us trying to mingle our design elements to come up with one unified thing. Finish off and leave a long yarn tail for sewing. Yeah, okay. I don't like to do that. So I'm just gonna finish off and use a different piece of yarn for sewing on. But otherwise, it's not a bad detail to have in a pattern. So it's kind of just a... I've lost my orange scissors. Got so magnetized they flew away from me. Okay, yeah, okay. Look, there is no way that this piece isn't 6 tiny feet and a little tail nub. That is the cutest thing I've seen in a really long time. So my original plan was to have like this dragon with these scurry things, but now I'm kind of wanting to invert it and kind of turn it into this little caterpillar type thing. And I'm wondering if I can make this, the shape of this piece, work for my dragon beastie, but have it be like a caterpillar dragon beastie. So I'm just gonna pin that in place, then I'll work out what I can add to this piece. So it's difficult now because we're reaching the point where I have 2 pieces left to add to him and Leigh has 1 piece left. And I think that she might be using what I'm using as the nose as the tail on hers. So if I make a tail piece, I'm worried that I'm going to like throw out her plan. And like, it's a team exercise. We want to succeed at making something. Oh my goodness. But at the same time, my little guy needs a tail. Is that not... I feel like that's heading in the direction of something cute, if very confusing. And I'm going to take all the pieces off and just try them in the caterpillar position as well. Because I do think that's the intention of this piece. And then we'll kind of work out what I want to add. If I like my dragon idea and I want to keep pushing down that path, things out of context are tricky. Oh yeah, see that's clearly been made to perfectly fit underneath like that. What's the name of that yellow and green? Not Caterpie. It's like a Pokemon that's like Sweezy. It's one of the newer generations. I'm not so great on the names of the newer generations. I remembered, it's Swaddle. Okay, so that's kind of the secondary option where we've got like this little leaf halo that I think I also really like. So I've got kind of 2 options there and I kind of have to pick a direction. So at this point, you guys should be leaving me a comment and tell me which one you think I should do. Like, I understand that it'll all be resolved by the time I actually reach your advice through time, but I'm dying to know if you guys want to see me make the caterpillar or the dragon-y, dinosaur-y thing. I spent a really long time swapping between the dragon and the caterpillar forms, trying to pick a direction. So I did decide to go with eyes, purely because they could be translated as either eyes or antenna, and I do think that we're both thinking very bug-like at this point in the project. It's kind of hard to gauge whether how much of it's supposed to be like reading the other person's mind and how much of it's supposed to just be like embracing the chaos. But either way, this is a lot of fun. It's sort of very like creatively challenging. No, I don't like that. No. Do I just like it even like that? No, you know what? I even like it smaller. Oh my goodness, I'm going to be sending through a pattern that only has 4 rows in it. I'm sorry. I hope that's okay. We will throw in a slip stitch to finish off. There we go. So that's our first one. And the second one I'm going to unpick. And like, these are pretty unmistakably eyes, but I feel like they're a really flexible kind of eye. So even if I am on a different wavelength, I'm pretty sure we're on the same wavelength judging by those feet. But even if we are on a different wavelength, I feel like these are usable pieces. One thing I will do just to fancy mine up a little bit though, because I can't resist being a little bit fancy with it. Do that thing that I do. Those scissors are so blunt. I'm doing the thing. Tuck, tuck, tuck. This will go here. Ish. I think closer to the front might be slightly more fun. So hopefully that's looking cute to you guys too as we go. So here we are at the end of the second segment. We've got, it's kind of cute. It'll be cuter once it's stitched together. But for now, this is pieces 1, 2, 3 with the little feet, and 4 of these eyeballs. So depending on what I get back from Leigh, I'll either do little front graspy grabbers, a little sort of like mouth, like pincer, weet thing, or some antenna. So that is where we're going to be leaving that off until I get piece number 5 back. Ooh. All right, so I have just received the notes for piece number 5 and we're just going to stitch that up quickly now. It looks like it's going to be a relatively long, thin piece. Maybe some back spines, a tail. So there is our piece number 5. I'm getting a couple of different vibes from it, bringing in what we've currently got pinned. I could see it making for some cute little antenna. It could be a little stinger for the end of his tail. I'm thinking that it could also be, if we gave it a little stitch, we could curl it around and make it almost like a gonzo nose, but like the nose that a butterfly has. You know, those little proboscis, me breaking out the $50 words, like that. So it's just a very interesting little piece. There's no note that says to make more than one of them, but I do feel like it would be in the spirit of what we're doing if I made a second one and turned them into antennae. So it's my job now to make piece number 6, which is the final piece of this project. So what I'm going to actually do is take apart all of these pieces and just absorb them and then come back and we'll solve part 6. So there they are, piece 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can let me know in the comments now if you haven't already. If you were given these pieces, what would you be making out of them? Okay, so we have idea number 1, angler dragon. Do you have any guesses you want to make?
I like it. What is it?
It's a caterpillar. All right, so this is where I'm currently at. I think we've strayed a little bit further away from swaddle, which is a bit of a relief. I think I'm making a caterpillar. Meow. Yeah, I've kind of pinned the face on at an angle to give him a little bit of a cute sort of lilting pose there. I'm using part number 5 as a stinger, but it also kind of looks like a tail. I've pinned part 1 so that it wraps around the face, so you get like that sort of bug mandible, these fun little fringes at the side, and then it like perks up like a pair of cute little ears. And I've got the eyes, and so like for my 6th piece, I was thinking about doing a snout, but then I actually already kind of like the mandible shapes I've got going here. But what I have noticed is that we do have kind of this like undecorated expanse along the back. And I also don't want to like send Leigh anything that's going to completely derail her project at this point either. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do in the designing book of designs, no peeking, there's all kinds of secrets in here. There we are. Is work him up some, we'll do like little cones that have like tufts sticking out the top. Maybe like a little tassel. And I'll do I like that? He's already very decorated. Maybe I'll do just maybe just like a series of stripes. Again, that's a nice kind of generic piece that can be sort of adapted to work for her design as well. So if I make like one stripe and then I say, you know, make 4 of them, we can be like stripe, 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 stripe. And that could be fun. So I think I'm pretty settled on this caterpillar type design, if you'll excuse the pun. And we're going to work up this little stripe now. And yes, I am going to work this in my green as well, just because that's the default color I'm using for all of my pieces. But then I'm going to remake them in other colors when I go to make my final piece. So I've gone for one with these 3 little sort of fans around him, just because I believe that's going to be easier to describe in words without a photo. I'm giving him chest ruffles.
Chest ruffles are cute.
So I'm using these as chest ruffles instead of back stripes, but really they could apply in either case. And I'll make a note in my pattern that you can make as many of them as you like, which is a nice open-ended instruction as well. There's a lot of pressure going last in this challenge, guys. I suppose there's a lot of pressure going first as well. And honestly, that first piece, I still have no idea its original intention, but I kind of like that. I would never have come up with a piece that looks like that. I just think it adds a very cool element to how this is turning out. Or they could be back stripes, I suppose, instead of chest ruffles. I'll just yank them all off there. Now his chest looks very exposed to me. Or they can be back stripes like that. So that is the final piece of this pattern. I'm going to just go send it off to Leigh now. So now that I've sent the instructions for piece 6 off to Leigh, it's time to assemble our little creature. So I am pleased to present to you the cat-erpillar. I did go a little crazy with the colours, I will admit. So I have named him Mr. Mistopheles, and I feel like he just knows way too much. So you know how caterpillars are always disguising themselves as things? Well, this fellow is disguised as a cat to keep the predators away. So what you can see here is piece 1 forming his illusory floofs, as well as forming this illusion of a mouthpiece at the front. Piece 2 is this body nugget that you can see underneath, and it is upside down compared to my original intention. It was originally going to be up this way, and it ended up being up this way. Piece 3 is, of course, his tiny feet. Piece 4, his eyes, and you can see here I've used a total of 6 different colours, including some embroidery, to just really bring those to life there. Piece 5 is his stinger/tail. And then I used 4 copies of piece 6 to form his little dust ruffle around his feet. I also ended up making a few additional decorative spots, including one to sort of form the illusion of a nose, all adding up to one little caterpillar. The fanciest bug in all the land. So let me know what you think of him in the comments. Was it what you expected from the pieces that we created? So there we are. So he is the final result of our Franken-Pattern, or at least my version of it. And now the moment that I at least have been waiting for all week. I finally get to see how Leigh's turned out. Now, she sent me through these days ago, and when I say the word willpower, you have no idea how hard it has been not to just sneak a tiny little peek and see what was going on there. The long-awaited moment is finally here. Now, if you want to see how Leigh did, you're going to have to go over to Skein Spider. I will leave a link in the description down below, and watch her video. It should have been uploaded at the same time as this one here. Leave her a comment as well. Just let her know that ComplicatedKnots says hi. I'm so excited for this. Oh, was I wrong? I don't think we've used any of the pieces the same way. That's not true. Okay, no, we've definitely used that piece the same way. Okay. All right. Okay. So that is very, very interesting. I can tell you that what we've come up with is we've come up with 2 very different things. I don't think we've used the same piece for the same thing anywhere in this. But we've somehow managed to use a very similar color palette, and I just think that's so delightful because it means that our two things are going to look so cute together. It's kind of like we both threw the same stuff into the same cauldron and fished out two completely different things. And I have to say, this whole process was so much fun. You should absolutely try and give it a go with some of your friends. I know that crocheters in particular tend to like really like crafternoons, and this is a really easy way to have a crafternoon when you can't be physically in the same place. Anyway, be sure to like the video if you liked it. This is a little different from what I normally do on my channel, so I need a little bit more external validation from you guys, okay? Other than that, I will see you next week. Okay, bye!